It is a Thursday edition of Red Sox Now. I'm your host, Mike Antonellis, as we go through the postseason, and those championship series are coming up shortly. Thanks for tuning in, as always, and watching the program presented by FanArch. And make sure to, you know the deal by now. The big thumbs up. Leave your comments. We'll read those for those new. You see the comments. That means we'll read your comments. We'll take 3. Maybe we'll do more now here in the offseason because we still have people chomping at the bit with their questions, with their comments, which I absolutely love. So subscribe to the Red Sox Now here on YouTube. It's pretty easy. Share the link and share the love. We love it. So I know many are happy the Blue Jays have moved on. I thought it was weird. Now, listen, this was partly because of injury for the Blue Jays, right? We know that they had injuries in their starting rotation. They went all in on that final Sunday with Gossman. So they had to use a bullpen game on Wednesday, and I felt that was strange, right? It all worked out for them, though. But that would have been a crappy way for them to lose because they would have forced the deciding Game 5. And those are hard to win on the road. I mean, it's a playoff game. You're facing the Yankees, and they used 8 pitchers last night in a clinching game. That was crazy, and they won. That's all that matters. Schlittler didn't have as many strikeouts because he's facing the team that strikes out the least. Boy, that really that's interesting philosophies, huh? 6 strikeouts for Toronto. They move on, and good for them. I still think people didn't believe. I saw a lot of things on Wednesday morning saying how the Yankees or Toronto's in trouble now. No, I get it because the Yankees are home, but players don't think that way. The Blue Jays did not go back to their hotel on Tuesday all worried. They're just not wired that way. And they came out, scored a run, and their arms were good. Philly beat the Dodgers in L.A. They got to Yamamoto. They got to Kershaw, who pitched late. They went right to Suarez. Good for them. They force a Game 4. How about the Cubs down 2-0? They go right at it. 4 runs in the first. They win. And Seattle gives it up late. And they force a Game 5. Now, this is interesting because I do think Seattle's in trouble. I know it's at home, but it is Scooble. It is Scooble. And we'll see who Seattle starts. Great games. Philly, the Dodgers again today. Milwaukee at Chicago. L.A. and Milwaukee could close out their series. Or, it goes back to Philly. Or it goes back to Milwaukee. And then tomorrow you got to decide in Game 5. And then if the Game 5s happen, they'd be on Saturday. And then the American League would open up Sunday. So this is fun. What I've really enjoyed is the first 2 rounds. And it's probably the way baseball is. Hockey is similar, right? I feel like in the NBA or even in the NFL wild card, I've talked about this. Sometimes the 2-7 matchups, they're not great. Those are only 1 games too. So the NFL is not fair. The NBA, the 1-8 series, 2-7, right? They're not fantastic. It's kind of like an appetizer. Hockey's completely different. We know how 8 can be. We know all of that. You can be down 3-1. But this has felt like we're right into it. Like these series are, if there's pressure, and the shorter series create that. I kind of like the 3 and then the 5, then the 7 and 7. I wouldn't want 3, then 7. I like this. And hope you're enjoying it. I think it's been a real good postseason. I wanted to get, we're going to recap that press conference that Craig Breslow had. And I'm just going down the list of my notes. That's all I'm doing. And one of the next ones was, I got a highlight here so I remember what we're talking about each day. I remember. We're going to do with postseason. Success. Starting pitching was one thing he talked about right off the bat. That's the first thing. Absolutely. And most of you guys and gals know that. I know we talk hitting, but if you really feel Bayo's not a 2, and was that a lasting impression from just postseason? I don't think so. I thought the theme of the year really was extreme. Bayo had that pocket of really good. He was kind of, and not bad, but it didn't look like a 2, right? He did pitch it as a 2. I think Giolito and Bayo at times were interchangeable. But when they talk about that first 1-2 punch right off the bat, regardless that the Yankees lost, remember they lost Garrett Cole. So their 1-2 punch was Fried and Rodon. That was pretty damn good. 19 and 18 wins. And they got Heel back and Will Warren and Schlittler and other guys that they used. It's pretty evident with the way this is set up. So even if you don't have to play a wild card, you win the division next year, and you're in a 5-game series, you'd like to have those first 2 starters, if you're at home, be really good. So that to me, I put that over the hitting. I still do. Because you can hit less in the big leagues and win. The Yankees are evident of great lineup. They struggled to score some runs against Toronto, right? Toronto, even in a bullpen game last night, gave up 2 runs. So the fact that they want to do that says a lot. Then they have it, right? We know they have it internally. But when you're trying to, where the Red Sox are, they're a playoff team already. And you're looking at bigger and better things. You want to have a legit 1-2. You have Crochet. If you have questions about Bayo, I'm not sure that Connolly Early's ready to be that. It's an acquisition. So is it Joe Ryan? Is it Cease? We'll see. I think that's, the more yes, there's other holes. A few. But you can, as we know, you could buy Alonso. You could settle with Casas. There could be someone else. You could buy Kyle Tucker, other free agents. Eugenio Suarez is a free agent. So those, right, there's options. When you're talking about a number 2, even in the big league, right, like that's hard to find. Any pitching is hard to find. We don't know about the injured guys, but like a legit number 2 would be outside the organization, and they list that first. Hit the ball at the ballpark. You talked about that. Yes. Defense in postseason. And we'll be open to all avenues to improve power. So that's, if they did 3 moves, if they kept Bregman, and maybe Bregman will stick with that $40 million. That's pretty good. If they only made 2 big moves, would you honestly be happy? Where do we get the truth serum? I would. If you traded for Joe Ryan or got a frontline pitcher somehow, even Dylan Cease, his stuff's still pretty good, and you say you signed Alonso, I think people would still be disappointed, which I would not be. That would be because that is bringing in some high octane guys. You have got a bunch of injured guys coming back. And you just won almost 90 games with tons of injuries. So you want most of that team back. Right? Crochet, Ryan, Bayo, Connolly Early, and who knows? That's pretty good. That's pretty damn good. And then, Narvaez, Alonso, who knows at second? Maybe Romy, maybe Meyer, Story, Bregman, Anthony, Rafaela, Abreu. I don't know with Duran. Who knows? Maybe Duran stays, maybe Yoshida's. Who knows? But my point is, you made 2, I'll put Chapman in there. 3 big impact moves. Closer, starting pitcher, third baseman, last offseason. Change your franchise. If you did that again, 2 moves, maybe a reliever. That stuff they'll definitely do. But not really hard to me improving that club with 2 moves. Now, those are not easy. You're dealing with Boris. You're dealing with trades. And we forget that they do have a ton of young arms coming up. And we'll see where they fit in. It's exciting. Catcher position. Before we get to the comments. Are we good with Narvaez? I think we're good. And would you want to see a change with the backup? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm okay with Wong. I've seen things about Sean Murphy. That's a $70 million deal to be a backup. I thought Wong went through some injuries. He had to learn how to not play. And I just think for that position, it's a backup. So I'm not wasting resources. I'm not spending a lot of money on a backup. And I think Wong is the fact that he's really good with Crochet says a lot to me. Right? So I'm okay there. But, open to what all of you think. And let's get to the comments before we roll out on a Thursday. It is a good Thursday. At Chad Hamilton-T3M. Love the arms we have. Good mix of young guys also. I hope they add to what we have. Yeah. I mean, in adding, Joe Ryan helps the younger guy. I mean, in Crochet is such a leader as a young guy. At Remdog3037, would you rather the Bo Sox get Cease or Ryan? It would be Ryan. Yep. At Measured Flat, Yankees are always overhyped. I think it's like the Canadians, and I responded to that. They are one of the original teams. They have a storybook franchise. If you met someone who knew nothing about baseball and you told them the stories about Babe Ruth and Yankee history, they'd be like, this is fiction, right? It seems fiction. When I grew up, all those guys, to me, Babe Ruth seemed like a character in a movie or just a character in a book, like Johnny Appleseed. He didn't seem like it didn't seem real. And they've built, you think about it, that's where, I've talked about this before. When you have expansion, like people want to duplicate what we have here and in New York and Chicago. Those teams have been around since the 1900s. They've built their business. Tigers too, decades and decades, and different people. And it's been pretty damn consistent, right? I mean, think about how the Yankees have stayed where they have stayed in the Red Sox, right? All of these years later because of the fans, right? I mean, no one's sick of it. Yankee fans, Red Sox fans, through, and it's the passing over. It's good for baseball. You need to have the villains, like I said. It's still, like a TV show. It's good to have the Yankees, Red Sox, the battle. Same with Giants, Dodgers. That rivalry's crazy. That's going to do it for Thursday. Make sure to follow me on my socials at The Radio Mike everywhere. Drop your comments. Hit the subscribe button. Enjoy your Thursday. Our final show of the week is on Friday. And as always, go Sox.